Hello there, brave adventurers. This is Tav, and I'm going to be your host for this evening, and we're going to talk about a little bit about character creation for Baldur's Gate 3. Game comes out August 3rd. We're almost there. I could not wait to play, so I installed Early Access again, just to get some ideas brewing on what character I want to play when it's time. Of course, I don't have access to the released game to see all of the options, but this at least gets the juices flowing. We'll get some ideas out of this, and maybe we can share tips amongst each other. So the first thing we're gonna do is walk or look over our character's name and make sure that it says Tav, right? That's the first most important thing you can do in character creation. Make sure that your name remains as Tav. You might be tempted to change your name, or think that you're very clever and come up with your own original idea, but nope, Tav is the way to go, 100%. The next thing we gotta think about is our background. What kind of character is Tav? Which one is this Tav? Is it an acolyte, charlatan, thief, a criminal, an entertainer, not quite, working on it, folks, a folk hero, maybe one day, an artisan, a noble, an outlander, a sage, or a soldier, or of course an archer, and then back to acolyte. Well, I guess an acolyte might not be the worst thing. You get little bonuses into your religion and insight. In 5th edition, you get some extra goodies for being a specific background, but here you get little tiny proficiency bonuses. For the most part, they might matter later on in the story. So as you're thinking about what sort of character your Tav is, think about what backstory you're sort of coming up for it, if you are, if you like to RP and that sort of a thing. And these will come into play during certain conversations you have with NPCs. So we're going to keep it as a basic one for right now. The next thing I like to do is go over to the race selection screen. Now the race selection screen is going to be more robust when the game actually comes out. We're going to have extra options in here. We are going to get the Dragonborn and half-orc. There's also another subrace of dwarfs that has been added for the, I believe the Drugar. And, yeah, we'll have tons more options of what to choose from and how to customize them. I'm thinking that for my very first playthrough, the min-maxer in me wants to go in the half-orc direction. That way I become extra sturdy, very tanky, have extra damage. But they did such a wonderful job with the Dragonborn, which unfortunately you cannot see on the screen, that I am not sure if I will choose anything but the Dragonborn. I still have a little bit less than a week to decide, but at the moment, Dragonborn is what I'm leaning towards. One other thing I wanted to mention right here in the origin screen is you can see that you cannot choose any other origins, and of course, how can one of these origin characters be a Tav? You're already a Tav the way you are. But there will be another origin character to select called the Dark Urge. And of course, the Dark Urge could be our Tav as well. And that one comes with a pre-built backstory, so we can't quite select our background if we choose that. I'm very tempted to go that route, as long as I can name my character Tav. That is the number one most important thing. Otherwise, it's going to be real disappointing. Anyway, back to the racial selection screen. I like to usually play as male characters. You can pick any selection, and I think they've actually added a few extra options for you there. They've done a great job with these, and of course the appearances screen has become even more robust than what you're seeing here on the screen. It's going to be, they overhauled this and they added a whole bunch of other customization options. The class selection screen is also going to be added with one more selection of the monk. I am tempted to go that route, at least for the first few levels before we unlock the respec. And once we unlock the respec, might be able to create some sort of a character build, maybe a fighter monk um, character. That way I can use a large variety of items. It really depends how they've dealt with martial arts and putting on heavy armor. In the tabletop version, you only lose a handful of abilities from the monk class when you do that, so you can still be a heavy armored monk that does, you fight with a two-hander weapon, any weapon of swords. You just can't use your martial arts die and unarmored movement, and of course unarmored defense. The rest of it still works. So I'm curious to see how that has been coded into the game. So I'm tempted to go monk and then maybe pick up a level or a few of fighter as we go along in the first few levels of the game. And then, of course, you get to pick your skills. These help you with. There is a decent chunk of the game is riddled with all these skill checks from various conversations to things you discover. So they can be very important. And if your main character, is going to be handling things like your persuasion checks and things along things along that nature, then maybe picking up a persuasion check might, or a persuasion skill would be real good. Maybe picking up perception would be good as well. And then, of course, we get to pick our ability scores. In the early access, your racial selection is going to give you a bonus to one of these or a few of these. But in the released version of the game, you're actually going to be able to assign those bonuses yourself. So you get to pick whatever race you want and whatever look you want, and essentially get to make this character your own. Um, so yeah, this is more or less the existing character selection screen. I am very excited to see what my Tav comes out as, and maybe you can share some of your Tavs with me, and maybe together we can come up with some good ideas for our first characters through this. Very excited for the game. Looking forward to it on August 3rd, and see you soon.